I have a bunch of things I wanted to talk about, so I probably will have to do more than one because I probably forget everything once I start talking. Like that sweater that I got yesterday, the tag, it was United States, I don't know, freedom or something. And then, so the tag is all about USA, and then you look at the thing, it says made in China. Everything we have is made in China. It is, I just remember when they did that. And when everything had to be made in China, and how they pushed for it and stuff. And then, driving through those towns and seeing what is happening to the small towns still. And I was watching a movie, I can't remember what movie it was. It was something I was just watching with my kids, I guess, because it was, it had some guy, and he was, oh, I know what it was, because I watch a lot of reality shows. And this was Shark Tank or something like that. And so it had these people who were asking these business people for money or something. And I'm talking to this one guy, these two guys, and they had like these cans of, I don't know, some healthy soda or something. I'm not sure what it was. And they wanted money to make their business go bigger. And they start talking all numbers and profits and all this stuff. But the thing was that the Shark Tank people, when he told them, like, the thing you want is to get your product to a point where a corporation buys it out. That's where you get your money. That is the whole problem. That is what has happened to our country. And when I saw him promoting that, I was just like, this is what has happened to small business. They got us to all stop believing in ourselves, stop forming our own businesses, stop, producing things and selling to one another. The whole thing. And when a while back, I had talked about that where, there's a lot of people who sold their small businesses, and it was a part of the problem with the takedown of America. And then they're sitting there on this show currently, right now. This was like a new episode promoting, you just need to get your product sold to a corporation. And it's, that is something that souls have to learn. And what I really, really just noticed over especially this past year, I would say, because each year kind of envelops its own kind of language, what happens, But in this, I have really, really seen how we are all at such different levels. Like when I used to talk about, like, we're in school, like this is like an elementary school, and we're going to graduate to go up to junior high now. And but in the elementary level, there is so much, and it would have to be an elementary level not because people are stupid or whatever. It is because your higher self is much higher than how you feel you are here in the avatar reality, because your higher self is able to project itself in here and have a conscious being who is able to go in and try and understand itself and play the roles and play the parts for others and all of that stuff. So you are really much higher than what it feels like in this experience. But this experience of ascension is the expansion for your soul. So the different levels of all of these different people now seem so clear. Like you can tell, like there's people who are just learning this or just learning that, but there's a lot to learn about if you give up your sovereignty as a business to one big conglomerate. That conglomerate is just going to grow like the Blob and take over the world. That's what we're experiencing right now, is trying to get out of the Blob. The Blob's already taken us all in, and now it's like we got to get out of it. And it all starts with going back to basics, getting back to that sovereignty of self. I don't need a system. I can cook for myself. I can grow my own food. They're trying to really put a damper on all that, but this is a mindset. So I'm not saying, I did see in Spokane, quite a few people with raised beds out in their front yard. And I was like, this is what we need to go to. Every single yard should have a raised bed. Every single yard should have a raised bed right out front. So that, and this stupid idea, what they sell us, oh, you got to have this lawn and all this. No, this is your property. This is your piece of the world. This is your world in sync, in sanction, you know, it's you and your piece of earth. What are you going to do with it? You know, poison it, you know, manipulate it, make it grow something that it doesn't want to grow right there. You know what I mean? So, if everybody got into that, and I saw this, I think it's in North Korea. Be funny, huh? It could be South Korea, but I'm pretty sure it's Korea. That everywhere on every piece of blank land or something where there's not houses or buildings or whatever, they have gardens all over the place. So, you know, because people need to get food. I don't know, you know, all of their agriculture and stuff. I don't know how much is imported from other places. I'm not really sure. But I saw footage of them showing, you know, what a good way that was for us to even go towards. And I was like, when I saw those raised beds out on other people's front yards, I was like, yeah, if everybody did that and everybody grew something or enough for them or something to trade or whatever, I mean, what a different world we would be living in. And they wouldn't be able to affect us with the price of groceries and stuff, right? Because we would be independent from them. And there's so much to this, the education system. It's all dependent on these pieces of paper that they tell you have value. But we obviously see they have no value. There's actually no value. There's only debt that goes with the piece of paper. So, and now we have a shortage of actual, what are those people? I think they're called blue collar, but they are the trades that are skilled trade. So the people who actually know how to do something and work for themselves, they're in high demand now because we've got so many kids who don't have any skills. And they've hit this certain generations really, really hard. So, and I was really, really glad for my one daughter to start noticing, you know, to start being like SJWs and stuff like that. Oh, which by the way, this morning I get this thing from YouTube, and they already had sent something a few months ago, an update on their rules or something. You know, it's like so many rules. And so they sent it out again as like a reminder to say, hey, don't forget. And then they even had a section, since you've already had a strike. And I was like, what do they have, a form letter they send out to everybody who's had a strike or something? Like, what the hell? And in it, it says, if you're going to be, you know, a lot of people who are like David Rodriguez, you know, a lot of these people who go through and try and find all the news and read it and report it, they have to now go through some sort of thing to be authorized. And this communication, what did they call it? This, you know, the Lord of Communication Board in India. You have to go to their communication transparency board or something in India. They've already started their global, it's, oh my God. But, you know, we need to focus on our sovereignty. We need to focus on becoming independent. And while I was gone too, I saw the Schumann resonance was it was like so spiked. It was so spiked for days. And then it was so much that it was just a total like whiteout. It was crazy looking. You can look it up. There was a bunch of people sharing about it. So, you know, it has been really extreme energy, and it is the collective waking up that is creating the energy, I believe. And it is a huge movement. And I feel so weird. Like, just looking at things looks weird. I feel like I'm in the middle of a three-dimensional picture. That happened before when I very first started noticing. And yesterday when I was leaving really, really early. So I left like 6:30 for my one daughter's to go over and pick up Stella. And there was a grocery store in between. So I stopped and ran in and got some food. And when I came out, the sun was all the way up in the sky. And it wasn't directly over me, but it was way up. Like if the light above me would be the sun. So it was like this. So it was way too high for 7 in the morning. And then looking at it, you could see how high it was. So I did a video. And while I was looking at the video, I was like, this is so weird, because this video does not look the same as when I'm looking outside. And I've noticed this with a lot of videos. And I was like, is there something on the phones that they have done so that it kind of manipulates our images so we can't actually show what we're seeing? Or there's something weird. So I put the video on right then, and then I drove all day. And so I never saw the video until last night. And there was like, I don't know, was a lot of views, like 1,600 something or something like that. And there was 25 comments, and it was like half. No, I would say probably 5 comments of, that's not high, because I said something like, oh, 7 in the morning and the sun's high noon. What is going on around here? I think we live in the Truman Show, something like that, some snappy little thing. And you think you're being funny or something. And all these people, like 5 of them come in. That is not high noon. That is 7 in the morning sun. The sun just came up. It just darts straight up. And then it takes all day to cross. And then it falls down. Like, it's supposed to be a gradual thing as it goes across. And when it's way up here, I wish I had a sundial. I wish I had one of those. But you have to have just the right, it has to be able to get the sun. I don't have that here. But I wouldn't have even been able to see my own. But there's something so manipulative about what's going on out there. And especially when I did that video. And I was like, the colors in the video look different than standing in the parking lot. Because I was really open. And I could see it really well. So, I don't know. I just took the video down. I was like, I am not going to sit here and deal with these people. But so many people have the same thing, are just like, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with the sky. Something's wrong with everything. And that is part of the awakening, So there was way more of those people. I'm so sick of the... And one thing I've seen that is very much on TikTok is everybody is just done with the bullies. They're done with the people who just want to argue about everything, because so many people are speaking out about what's going on. And you just have these people that just keep going and going and going. Or other people want to have a conversation. They want to try and understand what's going on. And there's just these people who just, I don't get it. Is like, why do you go around looking for stuff that you don't agree with? I mean, if you love cars, why aren't you just looking at cars all day? If you love girls' butts, I mean, there's plenty of those on there. Like, why go after those of us who are talking about the world and what we're seeing in the skies and then start attacking us? It's just, I don't know. It's just annoying. And plus everything is so weird. It almost makes you feel like, am I crazy? Am I not seeing what I'm seeing? Like, but I go and see all these other people with their comments. But it pulls sometimes a lot of negativity towards you. And I was just not in the mood yesterday at all. And I did so much footage while I was driving too of the skies and how they were. I saw completely open skies, and then they just start getting lines, and then they start going in like another direction, and they would do these swirls. I don't know if the plane is like doing tricks or what they're doing, but it makes these swirls, and then it starts going out, and it starts making it look like clouds, and it almost looks like just becomes a big mass atmosphere. It really changes into like this big grayish kind of atmosphere, and they bring in these storms, and I bet you it's very different over what they spray over different areas. But you know, driving through there and seeing how empty the towns were, and just all the places that should be independent. Even when I was in Spokane, my daughter was saying, you know, how many places are closed down, how many stores, how many restaurants, everything is, you know, closing down. People are losing their businesses while, you know, they push us, Walmart thriving while all these small businesses and people losing their homes. And I mean, we are in, even though the news isn't talking about it, we're in a full-on crisis. And what they're doing with the food and everything. But, you know, we have to just really, everything they take from us, see, we have to reevaluate it. Like the pieces of paper, reevaluate it. Do they really have value? Are they just marketing that same thing as, you know, oh, you have a brain? We're going to give you a brain. Here's your piece of paper. But when a soul is dependent on these kind of, it is like, you know, a first grader, you know, oh, look, you got a star. Well, the star on your work isn't going to mean as much to a fourth or fifth grader. You know what I mean? So it's all in this learning progression for us to start reprioritizing and re-understanding what everything is all about. And the education system is definitely proven it is not for actual education. It is only for creating the generational divide, the control over the government has over the people or something. It has nothing to do with education. And the medical, I mean, that is just so many people are seeing the problems with medical. And I was even thinking while I was driving, I was like, you know, back when I was a nurse, and you had to know all these different drugs, you had to know drug interactions, all of that kind of stuff. And really, we should have been knowing all of the different toxins, all the different additives, and what those do. So, you know, if somebody comes in and they're in, I don't know, it could be so many different, I mean, cancer, you know, they come in with diabetes, high blood pressure, all of this stuff goes back to what they're putting in the food. And, you know, when you sit there and go like, oh, you eat chips, you eat packaged cookies and cakes, you eat, like I'm still on the creamer. There's certain things that are really hard to get off of, no matter how hard you try. But I figure I'm just going to enjoy it while it's here, because it's going to be gone with the corporation. I mean, it's definitely corporate poisoning. And all of these different things. So if somebody came in, you know, and you're like, oh, well, you eat this and this and this chemicals in this and this chemicals in this and 3 are in this, and you know, and all of the different ones all cause cancer. They all cause GI problems. They all the problems that people are having, it's all from the food. So a lot of people are starting to put that together, but you know, kind of gets you panicky. Like, what am I supposed to eat? Everything is poison. And then you focus too much on it. It starts building that fear, where they've already got that so triggered in people. Fear, 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 fear. You could die, you could die. But I say, you know, just like, it blows my mind how many people think that being ignorant is a positive high vibration. It makes no sense to me. But to me, it has all to do with this this phony jump on the bandwagon spiritual journey. They think, like, I've literally had this guy come on the other day who told me that most of my content is low vibration. I'm a very negative person, and that if I want to get to 4D and 5D, I really need to, whatever it was, I need to change my content. I need to focus on 4D and 5D. She's like, dude, how many people come in and comment and say stuff to you that don't even have a clue what you talk about? You get comments, somebody will see one video, they'll comment on that, have no idea what you talk about. So I don't know, this guy with his, 4D, 5D, and I was like, dude, I didn't say anything to him. But in my head, it was like, you don't even understand about 4D and 5D and vibration. Just the way he said this stuff, I was just like, that is so weird, because your vibration, nobody could understand your own vibration. That is because just like he takes awareness as negative, I take awareness as positive. So to me, I'm putting out positive information and content. And he takes it as negative. So see, right there, how can you say, well, you think my vibration is based on your interpretation when you don't even view the world the same way? That's why we have to stop worrying about what people think. It is very independent of how we come at the world, how we see the world, and what we're putting out there. And, a lot of the people, I think there's just so much with this spiritual, just raise your vibration and not even understand anything about how to raise your vibration. Because you have to heal stuff. You sit all day long. You spend hours and hours out walking in the woods, meditating and lighting incense and gathering your crystals around you all day long. And then, come out of your zen and go and deal with some people. See what happens. See if you get triggers. See if you can stay in your zen mood, even when you're interacting with people. If you can do it for a day, see if you can do it for a week. Normally there's going to be something that is going to trigger you and something that is going to bring you back into your reality. We're here to experience reality. We're here to shift with reality. And so you have to participate. You can't just be like, your triggers are going to come. You are going to have things that are going to trigger you. And then you need to know, like, well, what do you do with the trigger? You just get mad. Oh, you're bringing down my vibration. Yes, and I've heard that one before several times. And that's why I was like, I'm not doing shit to your vibration. Your vibration isn't fully... I can go and be around people who are negative and, who are total assholes, and it doesn't lower my vibration. I still feel up. I don't feel affected by other people. And when I do have any kind of trigger, I go and sit with it. I think about it. I look at it. And the thing is when you start doing that, it totally leads you into this understanding there is no positive or negative. Everything is just, if you took everything and you just set it on a table, if you could take it out, the emotion, the trigger, the whatever, and you set it on the table, you could go around it. Every perspective is there. There isn't just one perspective. So you can't, there's no reason. It kind of changes your idea of what's good and what's bad, and how you are even perceiving yourself or perceiving others, because it's too vast. Like, the more you go into it, the more you let go of the paradigms and the rules, the more you see that it was ridiculous to ever have rules. There's no rules like that, because everybody is so unique and different, and we all have a different perspective. We all have a different way that we see things. So, like, I could go out and be triggered. I gotta think of when I've had one lately. I don't think I had one really recent. So, but you go out and you get triggered, and then you go in and you're sitting there, like, having to think about yourself. Like, okay, why do I feel this way? Is there a reason I feel like this? Am I doing something that I need to change? How am I affecting others? Like, what you look at it, and then you start seeing, like, well, no matter what, I'm not doing anything wrong. So it is just as like a self-identifier, because just because this person takes it wrong doesn't mean this one will. So how can you say there's a right or a wrong? It's too variable. It's too vast. And we get so nitpicky on things, you know. Oh, it's got to be this way. It's got to be that. That's part of the structured paradigm that we're breaking free from. And then as you heal, which I just feel like even this guy, you're triggered by something I'm saying to the point you need to come in and tell me I'm negative, and you think you're spiritually advanced, but you don't even understand the balance between positive and negative. Like, there's a lot to learn when you really open yourself up to the path to enlightenment. And it all leads you to a place where everything just is. It just is. There is no judgment. It is, this whole experience is just so you can learn about you. You come here. Your soul is projected into here, birthed into a reality. We're all in our own realities, except for at this time, during this ascension, when it's bringing us out of our realities and bringing us into something common. And we're all seeing, and it affects us all differently. And I'm really stuck on this. Every place that we think of as a continent is what we're going to find out is what all these other places are that we think of as planets, are just continents around us, outside of the veil, outside of the firmament, because this is a contained vibration. Because it is. And, I don't even know. And when you go to the Bible and it has the whole thing about, God built this in 7 days and, all of that stuff. But, so much of the Bible's manipulated. It's hard to for sure know. You'd have to have the original documents. That's what's cool with the Sumerian tablets. But still, you have to have translators for this stuff. And anybody can translate and say whatever they want. It's all by your perception. If I go in and I read a book and then I go tell somebody what it says, and then somebody else goes and read it and tells them what it says, they'll probably get two different stories. That's how telephone works. That's why we've learned we have to go directly to the source if we want accurate information. We can't be third party, in between, and they told me and stuff. We have to just go see it for ourselves. And that's what I have been telling people since I was on Twitter and kicked off, which Twitter is still telling me that I can't go on, but my mom told me that he's not even going to have it for 6 months. So Twitter, I don't know how all these other people are getting their accounts, but Twitter told me I'm banned indefinitely for the rest of eternity off of them. But when I was on there, and I would share information, people, oh, that's lies. Show me your information. I'd be like, go look it up yourself. You're not going to believe it unless you look it up. I could share. There was a point where I did share, giving people all sorts of information and articles and everything in the beginning of 2020. And they were just like, oh, that's fake. Oh, you're going to read that off of there. They all will believe in, what are those? Huffington Post, all of these left-leaning, I don't know, rags keeps coming into my head. That wasn't what I was going to say, but I can't get it out of my head. So, all of it's very divided, and they do that on purpose. It's like the same people own both. The same person owns CNN who owns Fox. If people started realizing these, I've had so many people, oh, well, you see that on Fox? I don't watch Fox. I've never watched Fox. I've never watched news. The only time I ever saw the news was when it was local news, and it got to be to the point where it was so fucking traumatic every day. I was like, I can't watch this. This just keeps me depressed. So I stopped watching the news a long time ago. And, but these people, they're so sure. They're so positive. And, and then you have the whole sanction now of the ones that are like that are so restrictive, but they think they're so spiritually enlightened. It's like, just because you can freaking meditate and you can light some candles and you walk in nature and you can sit quietly by a river and enjoy nature doesn't mean that you are spiritually enlightened. It means you're starting to attach to what's real. but look at the arrogance that these people carry. It's just this constant arrogance, and that is ego. You have to do the ego work. That's what the triggers are for. The triggers come so that you can get your ego and your soul in balance. Everything going on is for this spiritual awakening so that you yourself can get yourself in balance. There's nobody telling somebody else what you need to do. I even talked about that before when I had people, well, that's not happening for me, and that's what, it needs to be this way or that way. It's like, no, we're all completely unique. We all have our own things that we're here for. And, and I really saw a lot this weekend with waking up and how it really is going. I hadn't been noticing it, but it is definitely going so much more in that direction. A little thing leads to bigger, bigger, bigger. All they do is they notice a little thing, and then it starts being, questioning that little thing. And then after questioning that little thing, there's another little thing and another. And they all have to have these little bits of awakening so that when the big thing happens and they have to really come to terms with, this is the Truman Show we're living, and it's not even, our Ed Harris is a maniac monster who eats children, so, it's not that quite wholesome kind of Truman Show that we would all like to have, but we're definitely kept in the dark and in the dark ages. So there's some more stuff I want to talk about, but I forgot I had this cup of tea in there. So I'm going to get my cup of tea, and I will be back in just a second.